Welcome to the deep dive. You know those moments, right? In a conversation, maybe, when a simple phrase, it isn't just words. It feels like a window sort of into what someone's really thinking, or maybe even a clue about the information they're sharing. It's kind of amazing how getting a handle on these little linguistic shortcuts can suddenly make you feel, well, just more connected, more fluent, more confident in English. And for someone like you who's looking to be genuinely well-informed but maybe doesn't want to get totally bogged down in linguistic theory, understanding these nuances, it's a game changer. It really is. It's about catching the unsaid stuff,
Yeah.
the implications, the cultural shorthand that native speakers just use all the time. So today we're diving deep into some of these really common, but actually quite powerful everyday English phrases. Think of it like peeling back the layers, revealing the hidden depths in just everyday chat.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. Our mission really for this deep dive is to properly unpack a few carefully chosen common English phrases. We're trying to go beyond just the dictionary definition. We want to look at how they're actually used, in the real world. What subtle meanings do they carry? And importantly, why does understanding them give you that edge in communication? What's really fascinating, I think, is how these simple-seeming words, they combine to create expressions that just carry layers of meaning, often reflecting like deeply ingrained social habits or cultural ideas. It's less about memorizing lists of phrases and more about getting a feel for the situations, the emotions that call for them.
Absolutely. And to help us do that, we've gathered, well, a great set of sources looking specifically at how these phrases get used in different situations and why they're so important, not just for understanding, but for actually sounding like a confident, natural English speaker. So this deep dive is really tailored for you, aiming to give you those aha moments, without drowning you in information. Okay, let's jump right in then. Let's uncover the stories behind these everyday linguistic tools. Right. Let's kick things off with a phrase that, I don't know, it just conjures up such a vivid picture. I heard it through the grapevine. It's quite poetic, isn't it? This idea of a plant, like a winding vine, becoming a channel for information. What's the story there?
It's evocative, yeah. And it instantly signals a very specific type of information. When someone says, I heard it through the grapevine, it means they got the information unofficially, informally. Often it's through rumor, and the key thing is usually without a direct, traceable source. You might not know who told the person who told you, or even where the rumor started. It's basically news that's been passed along, word of mouth through an informal network.
Okay, so it's not just I heard this, but I heard this in this specific, less formal way.
Exactly, yeah. The precise origin, well, is a little debated, but one popular theory links it back to the American Civil War. Apparently, telegraph lines were sometimes strung kind of haphazardly through trees, and they looked a bit like grapevines, and the information coming over them was notoriously unreliable. So grapevine telegraph became this term for, dodgy news. Another angle just sees it as reflecting how grapevines grow, right? Sprawling, interconnected, just like how rumors and unofficial news can spread, sort of organically, person to person, often getting a bit twisted along the way.
Wow, that history really adds something, doesn't it? It's like a precursor to something going viral, but way before the internet. Can you give us some maybe more everyday examples of how we'd hear this?
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
super common, really, across all sorts of settings. Think about the workplace. You might find out about, say, some company changes way before there's any official announcement. A colleague might lean over and whisper, hey, I heard through the grapevine the new project manager starts next month. Apparently, from our biggest competitor.
Okay.
That immediately tells you, right, they didn't read this in an HR memo or a company email. It implies the info is just circulating informally, whispered in the break room maybe, or over coffee. It's that buzz before the official word.
Right, so it signals you know something, but you're also kind of acknowledging it's not official yet. It's a subtle way to maybe test the waters, see if anyone else has heard it.
Precisely. Or take community news. Like before a new shop officially announces its opening, local people often get wind of it first. Someone in the neighborhood might say, oh, I heard through the grapevine that new bakery is opening on Elm Street, meant to have amazing sourdough. Again, it implies they heard it from neighbors, maybe saw some work being done, not from a press release. It's just local chatter being in the know.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. It's like the modern town crier, but the news travels in whispers, not shouts. What about, like, personal stuff among friends?
Yeah, in personal circles, it often means finding out news about someone from someone else, not directly. So imagine you're at a party and a mutual friend casually drops some big news about someone you both know. They might say, so I heard through the grapevine Sarah's moving to Canada next year. Something about sustainable farming.
Ah, okay.
It clearly shows Sarah didn't tell you directly. And maybe even your mutual friend didn't hear it straight from Sarah either. It's information that's kind of done the rounds before it got to you.
So the implication, then, if someone uses this phrase, is that the information could be, well, not totally solid, maybe not even accurate.
Absolutely. That inherent unreliability. That's kind of its defining feature. It's often unverified. It can get distorted, lack specifics, a bit like that game telephone,
Yeah.
Using the phrase is almost like a verbal disclaimer. It signals the speaker knows this uncertainty, knows it should be taken with a pinch of salt, its purpose, often to share something intriguing but unconcerned, or maybe to gently ask someone to confirm a rumor. Like if you hear a whisper about someone's plans, you might say, "Hey, I heard through the grapevine you're thinking of leaving. Any truth to that?" It have. It lets you bring it up indirectly, gives them space to confirm or deny without you claiming you know it for sure.
Right. So it contrasts sharply with official channels, like a formal announcement or a direct email.
Totally. Official channels are documented, traceable, they have a clear source, authority. Grapevine info. The opposite. Fluid, unofficial, untraceable. Understanding that difference is key, not just for using the phrase right, but for judging the credibility of info others share with you. Using grapevine shows a kind of social intelligence, right? And understanding that not all news travels formally, and that there's this informal, often faster flow of info within groups. It can even subtly signal you're sort of in the loop. Build a bit of rapport. It's a shortcut, really,
Right.
sounding like a native speaker who gets those social dynamics.
What really stands out to you, though, about how information spreads like this through these informal ways? And why do you think we still rely on them so much even now with everything being online? It makes you think, doesn't it? How much of what we know comes from these unofficial networks? That's really fascinating looking into those unofficial currents. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about a phrase that's just absolutely crucial for managing expectations, for navigating that waiting game in our daily lives. Hear back from. How does this simple little phrase pack so much meaning about anticipating communication?
Well, this one is just foundational, isn't it? For anyone communicating today, personally or professionally, hear back from basically means getting a response, some communication from someone after you've already reached out or inquired about something. It carries this built-in idea that you're waiting for a reply. It's about closing a communication loop that usually you started. It sets up an expectation for something incoming.
Okay, so it's always about waiting for that response. The ball's in their court, so to speak.
Precisely, yeah. Let's look at some examples. Maybe the most common one is job applications.
Oh, yeah.
After an interview, right? You're in that state of hopeful waiting. You'd say, "I'm really hoping to hear back from the hiring manager about the job soon." It neatly sums up that you've done your part the interview, and now you're waiting for their move, the decision, the offer. It's a polite way to express that anticipation without sounding, pushy. It also helps manage your own stress just by naming the waiting period.
That's a waiting game we all know too well. What about, like, customer service stuff?
Definitely. When you've contacted a company about an issue or a question or maybe a complaint, you're expecting them to resolve it or at least give you an update. You might say, "I emailed customer support about my broken laptop." Still waiting to hear back from them.
Right.
This clearly states you've reached out, and now you're just waiting for their reply or their solution.
Right.
Super common for online orders, tech support, anything like that. Puts the responsibility for the next step squarely on them.
And I guess it's just as important in personal chats, too, not just formal things. Because sometimes you send a message and just silence.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you've invited a friend somewhere or sent a text, asked a question, and they haven't replied, you'd use this. "I texted John about the party, but I haven't heard back from him yet.
Yeah.
Not sure if he can make it."
Mm-hmm.
It clearly shows you're waiting for his RSVP or just a response. It's a very polite, non-confrontational way to mention there's an open loop there. Kind of subtly prompts them if you mention it. It helps manage those social expectations in relationships.
And I can see it being vital for official stuff, too. Like when you've submitted something important and you need a formal answer.
Oh, definitely. When you've applied for something significant, a visa, a loan, university, or sent a formal request, hear back from is the go-to phrase. For example, I submitted my university application last month. Expect to hear back from them about admission by the end of the week. It expresses both things, the past action, submitting, and the future expectation, getting the decision. It often implies some kind of time frame, too, whether you state it or not, for that response.
So the phrase always points to that sequence. One person acts, then waits for the other person's response.
Fundamentally, yes. It explicitly implies you, or someone, initiated contact, and now you're expecting a response to close that loop. It's also often used very politely when asking about status. It softens the request. So instead of a blunt, "What's the status of my application?" you'd ask, "When can I expect to hear back from you regarding my application?" See the difference?
Much gentler.
Exactly. Shows respect for their process, conveys anticipation without demanding.
And you're right, the phrase itself isn't urgent, but the context, that often adds the urgency, like waiting to hear back about medical results. That carries huge weight.
Oh, absolutely. The emotional weight, the urgency, that comes entirely from the situation, not the phrase itself. But the phrase is just a very efficient way to communicate that you are waiting for a response that matters to you. It helps manage that psychological space of waiting, sets a sort of boundary for when you expect a reply. It gives the waiting game a polite linguistic frame. This phrase is just fundamental for navigating that often stressful wait inherent in so much communication today. Emails, text, bureaucracy. By clearly stating your response is needed to move forward.
If we connect this to the bigger picture then, how does this phrase really help us navigate that waiting game? And maybe what happens when we don't hear back? It really highlights those unspoken rules about a follow-up, doesn't it? That's a brilliant way to put it, how hear back from structures communication. Okay, now let's unpack something that feels, well, almost deceptively simple. But it carries so much expressive weight. It's how we emphasize what we like, what we enjoy, what we want. Using phrases like really enjoy, really want. Why do we need that word really to sort of supercharge these verbs? And are there subtle differences between them?
It's a great question. And it really gets into the psychology of emotion and emphasis in language. These phrases, they're all about intensification. That word really, it acts like a powerful amplifier. It takes a mild preference or just simple pleasure or a basic desire and elevates it to a strong, genuine feeling. They let us convey the precise sort of shade and depth of how we feel. It makes our communication more authentic, less lukewarm. It's the difference between just stating a fact, like "I like this," and expressing a real personal connection.
So really is the key. For sincerity, for
Yeah.
impact.
Right.
It's about showing higher emotional stakes.
Absolutely. Let's break them down because although sometimes, in super casual chat, they might seem interchangeable, understanding the subtle differences, that helps you be really precise with your emotions, helps your message land properly. Okay, first, really like, this is generally for preferences, people, things, ideas, even activities sometimes. When the focus is on a strong, general fondness or approval, it's a strong, positive feeling towards something that exists or a concept. For instance, if someone gives you a thoughtful gift, you might say, "Oh, I really like this art print. It fits the room perfectly, makes me smile." You're not just saying you like it a lot, maybe because of a specific quality or the thought behind it. Or, at work, you could tell a colleague, "I really like your idea for the new campaign. It's so creative, hits the target audience perfectly." You're showing genuine appreciation for their creativity, for the proposal itself, a strong positive endorsement. Or, more broadly, "I really like quiet evenings at home with a good book." That expresses a deep general preference for that kind of relaxation. It's about a strong, maybe enduring fondness for a state, an object, or a general type of thing.
Okay, I see. So it's like a deep general appreciation, a settled, positive feeling. Now, what about really enjoy? That feels more
Active.
experiential.
You're spot on. Yeah, really enjoy. It's specifically about experiencing pleasure or satisfaction from an activity, an event, or a process. It implies active participation, often a pleasant sensory experience. So while you might like the idea of a quiet evening, you enjoy the actual act of reading during that evening. See the difference? It's about the feeling you get from doing it.
Oh,
So
okay.
you'd say, "I really enjoyed hiking last weekend. The crisp air, those views, breathtaking." The focus here is squarely on the pleasure you got from the activity of hiking, the sensory experience. It's not just general fondness. It's the positive emotions you felt during that specific event. Another classic example. "We really enjoyed the concert last night. The band was amazing. The energy was incredible." Captures that positive emotional sensory experience of being there, actively participating. And for something ongoing, you might hear, "I really enjoy learning new languages." The challenge, the reward of connecting. It opens up new worlds. That signifies the sustained pleasure, the satisfaction you get from the process itself. Highlights the active engagement, the gratification. It's about active, pleasurable, often immersive engagement.
That distinction is super helpful. Like is more static, appreciation. Enjoy is dynamic, experiential pleasure. So where does really want fit? This one feels more about desire, aspiration.
You've nailed it again. Exactly. Really want. expresses a strong desire, a craving, maybe a powerful longing for something specific. It often implies a need or a goal or just a powerful yearning. For possession, an experience, an outcome, it's not just a preference. It's often a deep, sometimes active pursuit. For instance, if some new tech gadget comes out that you're just obsessed with, you'd say, I really want those new noise-canceling headphones. The reviews are incredible. Conveys a strong, almost urgent desire to get them. Or, for an experience, I really want to visit Patagonia next year. Trekking there has been a dream for ages. Not just a fleeting wish, right? It's a long-held ambition you actively hope to fulfill. Maybe you're even saving for it. And it can be about an outcome, too. Like, I really want this project to succeed. We've put in so much effort, the impact would be huge. Here, it expresses that powerful commitment. The desire for a positive result shows dedication, emotional investment.
So that word really, it truly does supercharge these verbs, allows for this whole spectrum of emotional expression.
It absolutely does. Adding really just lifts a mild preference or simple desire into a strong feeling. Transforms a plain statement into something emphatic. Understanding these differences, general fondness versus active pleasure versus specific desire, helps you convey precise emotions, precise intentions. It's the difference between saying, I like coffee, and, wow, I really like this coffee. It's perfect, just what I needed. The second one conveys genuine delight, makes your words more impactful, more authentic.
And expressing feelings with this kind of detail, it isn't just about sounding more natural, is it? It's about building connection. When you use these intensifiers well, your personality shines through more, makes conversations more engaging. You're showing real connection, real passion. Your words actually reflect what you mean. What stands out to you about how using these intensifiers effectively can really shape perceptions, maybe even build empathy in a conversation.
It's a fantastic breakdown, yeah.
Expressing yourself with more precision, more authenticity, letting your communication truly connect. Okay, now let's talk about advice, about making beneficial choices. Here's where it gets, I think, particularly insightful. How do we offer guidance, suggest the best path maybe, without sounding, preachy? The phrase we're diving into is better off doing something.
Yep.
All right, this is such a useful phrase for offering guidance, often with this kind of gentle but firm conviction. Better off doing something basically means it would be more advantageous, more beneficial, or just preferable for someone to take a particular action. And the crucial bit, the implied comparison. It suggests there's an alternative, probably unstated, that's less desirable.
Oh, okay.
It's about steering someone towards a better outcome by highlighting the superior choice. It lets you offer advice, sometimes unsolicited advice, without being too directive. You're subtly showing you understand the potential consequences.
So it's suggesting the best option among others, maybe unspoken ones, like a gentle nudge towards a better outcome. Can you walk us through some scenarios where this phrase really works well?
Oh, sure. Financial advice is a really common one. Say a friend tends to impulse spend, always complaining about their budget. You might gently suggest, thinking about your goal of buying a house, you'd probably be better off saving that money instead of spending it on, like, daily coffees or impulse buys.
Right.
The implied comparison is, well, they could keep spending, but saving leads to a better financial outcome for them long term. It's a prudent suggestion that emphasizes their own benefit, frames the advice as a path to their goals, not just your judgment.
Sounds like advice I've definitely heard, maybe ignored before. What about health? Wellness? Another area where advice flies around.
Applies perfectly there too, yeah. Someone's complaining about being tired all the time. You might advise, look, if you're feeling constantly wiped out, you'd really be better off prioritizing more sleep than trying to push through with more caffeine. Here, the alternative relying on coffee might give a temporary fix, but it doesn't solve the actual problem, right? The suggested action, more sleep, is the truly beneficial one for their long-term health, highlights a sustainable solution over just a quick patch.
So it's about fixing the root cause or making a real positive change, not just papering over cracks. How about in, say, problem solving or maybe conflict? Seems like this phrase could gently guide people better.
Absolutely. In situations needing resolution, especially tense ones, this phrase helps steer towards a more constructive path. Imagine two colleagues are just arguing back and forth, getting nowhere. A manager might step in and say, okay, folks, instead of going in circles, we'd all be better off discussing our differences calmly, focusing on finding a solution together.
Yeah.
The implied less good alternative. Continuing the argument, damaging the team, the suggested action. The more effective, beneficial path to agreement emphasizes efficiency, harmony. It's a way of saying, this is the smart way forward.
And it sounds like it can also be used proactively. to sort of head off potential problems.
Definitely. It's very practical for advising someone how to avoid foreseeable issues.
Hmm.
Imagine someone's about to leave for a really important meeting right into peak rush hour. You might warn them, you'd be better off leaving an hour early. Avoid the worst of the traffic.
Good advice.
Exactly. The alternative, getting stuck, being late, stressed, is clearly worse. The phrase offers a clear, beneficial action to prevent that negative outcome. It's proactive, helpful, shows foresight.
So the core idea is always about finding and suggesting that most advantageous path, framing it as a benefit to the person getting the advice.
Exactly. The phrase inherently suggests, okay, there are options, but this one is superior. Better outcome, better benefits. It's also suggestive, right? Not demanding.
Yeah.
It's a gentle way to offer advice, a strong recommendation even, without sounding like you're laying down the law.
Right, not bossy.
No. You're giving them the option, but clearly indicating which one's preferred. Respects their choice while guiding them. The focus is always on the benefit. The suggested action leads to a better outcome for them. So for you, our listener, this phrase is just incredibly useful for giving advice that's concise, impactful, and likely to be received well. And also for understanding when someone's gently guiding you towards a better decision. It's about navigating options, weighing things up, making informed choices, both when you're advising and when you're being advised. Allows for that kind of nuanced influence. Which raises an interesting question, doesn't it? How do we, just generally, get better at weighing pros and cons when giving advice or when someone gives it to us?
That's a really thoughtful way to think about advice. Not a command, but a beneficial suggestion. Okay, for our final phrase today, this one's quite specific, almost a directive feeling. The sound one from the right-left. This feels very practical, maybe even a bit technical. Let's unpack this. What does sound even mean here? And how does adding the position make it so specific?
Right, this phrase is like a masterclass in precision, isn't it?
Yeah.
Identifying and selecting something from a group. It's used to pick out one particular item based on two things. Its condition or quality, that's the sound part, and its relative position from the right-left. It's all about clear, unambiguous communication when you need one specific thing out of several similar ones, especially if those items might vary in quality.
Okay, wait, so sound here. It doesn't mean something you hear, like audio sound, because that's definitely the first thing that springs to mind for me, probably for lots of people.
You've hit on a really crucial point. Yeah, that trips up a lot of learners. Here, sound has a less common, but actually very important meaning, especially in practical situations. It's got nothing to do with audio.
Yeah, okay.
Instead, it means things like free from defect, strong, healthy, reliable, intact, in good working order. Think about how I say a sound argument, right? Meaning logical, well-reasoned, or sound judgment-wise, reliable. Sound sleep, deep, unbroken.
Right.
So in our phrase, when applied to an object, sound means it's the functional one, the reliable one, the undamaged one, or simply the preferred one because it meets a certain quality standard. It's the opposite of faulty or broken.
That clarification is vital. Wow. Makes the phrase make instant sense and highlights how one word can mean totally different things depending on context. So how would we use this in a practical sentence?
Okay, let's imagine you're in, say, an old workshop. Lots of old wooden chairs around. You need one that's actually sturdy enough to sit on. You might tell someone, okay, see those 3 chairs over there?
Yeah.
Pick the sound one from the left. It's still sturdy, won't wobble.
Got it.
That tells the listener exactly which chair. Not just any chair, but the one that's undamaged, functional, and specifically on the left. No ambiguity. Ensures they grab the right, reliable item.
That's incredibly precise. Yeah, I can see this being super useful in instructional settings, workshops, labs, maybe even a kitchen. Anywhere you need a specific working tool.
Exactly. Imagine giving directions to someone assembling, I don't know, a delicate machine. And there's several parts that look almost identical, but maybe only one is perfect or undamaged. You'd say, right, when you get to step 5, use the sound one from the right drawer. The others might have tiny defects that'll mess things up. Ensures they pick the specific, reliable part. Avoids errors from using a faulty one. It's all about quality control, precision, minimizing mistakes when it really matters.
So it's all about clarity when you need to tell things apart. Things that look the same but might differ in quality. It kind of speaks to a cultural value of accuracy, maybe?
Precisely. And you see an inventory or quality control, too. Or even just picking fruit at the market. If you're checking items off an assembly line, you might tell workers, after inspection, only pack the sound ones from the right side of the belt. Make sure they're scratch-free.
Okay.
Ensures only good quality items move forward. Specifies location for efficiency. Or picking apples, you might say. Grab the sound one from the top, the others look a bit bruised.
So the nuance is really that combination. Condition or quality descriptor, sound, plus a positional one, right, left, makes for an incredibly specific instruction.
Yes, it's remarkably precise. It's used exactly when you have multiple similar items, and one specific one needs identifying by both its quality and its location. It really highlights how important specific descriptions are for clear communication. Prevents mix-ups, ensures the right item is chosen, reflects that value placed on reliability and clear instructions, from engineering right down to everyday tasks. So for you, our listener, understanding this lets you follow very specific instructions accurately, or give them clearly yourself. Especially when identifying items based on condition and placement, it's about achieving that unambiguous communication in practical situations. Really invaluable.
What's truly fascinating there, though, is how just adding simple directions and using that, often overlooked meaning of sound, how it transforms a potentially vague description into a perfectly precise instruction, leaves no room for error, makes you think about all the small linguistic tools we have just to ensure accuracy. Hashtag outro. Wow, what a journey today. From those whispered rumors traveling on the grapevine all the way to the super precise instruction of finding the sound one from the right left, we've really unpacked some fascinating everyday English phrases. We looked at how I heard it through the grapevine, signals, unofficial info, and hints at the social dynamics involved. Then how hear back from helps us manage our communication expectations, navigating that waiting game. And we explored how really like, really enjoy, and really want let us express strong, genuine feelings with real authenticity and impact. Then we talked about better off doing something as a way to gently guide towards beneficial choices, offering advice kindly. And finally, how the sound one from the right left helps us identify things with incredible precision. So, what does this all mean for you? Well, it means you've just added some really practical tools to your kit. Tools for navigating English conversations with hopefully more confidence, more nuance, and just a deeper understanding of those unspoken social rules embedded in language. You're not just learning words, you're learning how English speakers actually communicate, how they convey subtle meanings, navigate complex situations, both social and practical.
Absolutely. We've really seen today that fluent English, it goes way beyond just grammar rules, doesn't it? It truly embraces these subtle but incredibly powerful linguistic shortcuts. Each phrase we talked about, it's not just words, it's like a little cultural touchstone. Reflects how English speakers think, interact, share info in daily life. By understanding these, you're not just boosting your vocabulary, you're deepening your grasp of the underlying context, social, practical. Lets you participate more fully, more authentically. So we'd encourage you, keep your ears open. Observe how these phrases pop up in daily life. Maybe experiment thoughtfully, using them in your own conversation.
Yeah. Next time you hear someone use one of these, or maybe even catch yourself using one, let's pause for a second. Think about that layer of meaning, the implication, what's not being said explicitly. How might knowing these nuances change how you interpret things, or how you participate in the conversation, maybe help you connect on a deeper level?
And maybe think beyond that, too. Consider how these seemingly small bits of language, they're actually powerful tools for shaping perceptions, building rapport, genuinely connecting with people in English. What other simple phrases, might be carrying hidden depths just waiting for you to explore? That could unlock even more nuance in your communication. The world of everyday English is just full of them, waiting for you to dive in and discover their power.